Hello and welcome to another Company of Heroes 3 game. My name is Fancy Josh, and today I've got a game for you between Theodosios as our Wehrmacht, and his opponent today is going to be Dumais as our British. Map today is going to be longer. Cool little map here, critical cutoff point here and here, connecting you to the majority of fuel. And there is one more fuel point over here with another cutoff point, but it's relatively hard for your opponent to get at that. This map actually saw a lot of changes in the last patch. They mixed up the cover up here. They made this building enterable and this building no longer enterable, so that both players have an even amount of building control. And they also moved these hedgerows back away from this building so you couldn't flamethrower with attack ground through the hedges, I guess. That's what the patch notes said, so interesting little change there. Now, I'm super excited about this game in particular because I don't get to say Dumais play a lot. I know I just recently had a game of his on my channel, but to be honest with you, I don't get to see his games very often, so I'm excited about that. I'm also excited about Langra because it's a less popular map in the pool right now, but I have a lot of, I have a strong attachment to this map, so, because it's been in Company of Heroes for a long time now, close to my heart, so excited to see it. Theodosios opening with the Mechanized Battle Group. Mechanized Battle Group relatively popular these days. I mean, it's amazing how everybody was like, I don't know, Terror Doctrine got nerfed a bit with the machine gun camo and nobody uses it anymore, which is, I mean, I guess that's a good thing, right? Because it probably says that the heavy machine gun was overpowered. At the same time, I still think the battle group is good. It's just that nobody's using it. It's funny that way. So, German player going for Grenadier into heavy machine gun here. So going to get that early machine gun on the field to help deal with this infantry. But nice little sandbag placement by these Royal Engineers. Going to let them stay in this fight. Actually exiting cover and immediately being targeted by the heavy machine gun. Does look like they're going to get out of the danger zone, though, and heavy machine gun going to have to reposition. Infantry section winning this fight over the long term here. From the looks of things, though, but with the heavy machine gun repositioned, that might change things a little bit. And, yeah. So, German player with a fuel advantage here. These pioneers on the flank managed to capture the fuel points while this fight has been taking place. Infantry section trying to get a flank here on this heavy machine gun, but more grenadiers in position to help out there. Grenadier almost going down on the retreat, barely going to make it out of there. Royal Engineers holding down this side. Neither player going to do much damage at those ranges, but this infantry section taking away this cutoff point is going to be pretty devastating for our German. Going to lose access to all his fuel pretty quickly there. There's a Pioneer capturing this cutoff point away from his opponent, though. So neither player going to have any fuel income here very shortly. A machine gun going to get those units off of that cutoff point. And German did manage to win this point over here. Going to actually barbed wire off there. Love to see that. German player trying to sneak out without having to retreat, but is going to be forced back there. And Recce package added on for our British player. Love to see that. I think Recce packages are still quite good these days. I know folks, it's just like the nerf to the heavy machine gun, right? They reduce the cooldown of this ability, the artillery observer ability, from 1 minute to 2 minutes, but it's still good. Like, it is still a good ability, and Recce package is still a decent upgrade. So happy to see Dumais adding that on. Both players are teching up here. German player adding on the Luftwaffe company. And our British player has added on his... Oh, he has not. He went for med bunker. Excuse me, guys. Pardon me. Medical station on the way for our German player here. Both players with a decent amount of fuel income, but does look like Dumais is going to put a stop to the advantage his German opponent has right now. Trying to get down some sandbags here, but being found out. Gonna hop in the house, hold down the position while the heavy machine gun takes away the munitions point there. There is a unit moving on to that left side fuel point, so both players just trading fuel points back and forth. So it's, it's interesting to me that, I don't know, I saw a game earlier today which didn't end up making it onto my channel, but I've been seeing players go for 4 infantry sections instead of engineer into 3 infantry sections. So I don't know which is better right now. I guess I personally favor for early game capturing power, double engineer is definitely the way to go, right? It makes the build smoother, lets you hold more territory more easily, doesn't let you end up getting hemmed in your base. On the flip side, 4 infantry sections, very, very strong in terms of combat effectiveness rate, but it's slower to get rolling, and you can end up in a situation where you have a fuel disadvantage and you get stuck in your base, which is what I saw happen in the game earlier today. So, I don't know. I'm going to keep you guys updated on my feelings about those 2 build options. Yeah. German player adding on Jaeger as the platoon command post is on the way for our British player. And our British player is going to go for the commando support section here after locking in the Air and Sea battle group. So, Air and Sea, very popular right now. And the commando support section, also very popular. I think it's the right price for the right amount of firepower, which is why players like it. I personally really like the commando section, but let's just say it doesn't get a lot of love at a high level these days, and that's okay. Both players coming out relatively even on map control. British player does have an advantage on fuel right now, but looks like these Grenadiers are trying to put a stop to that. Grenade coming out, Dumais gonna see it. That fight's gonna break out. That's definitely a lost fight for our British player over there. Grenadier's gonna have to give up the position. Here come the flamethrowers, though. Gonna put a quick stop to these units sitting in light cover there if they want to stay alive. And actually, wow, Pioneer's losing that fight, so German player having a really hard time dislodging his opponent here. Heavy machine gun is going to pin this squad, though, before they are able to get to heavy cover. And these Pioneers ought to put an end to that fight, is going to take that point. Second Jaeger on the field for our German player, and actually adding on the Luftwaffe officer quarters to level up all his Jaegers to veterancy 1. I do believe our British player might be thinking about adding on the plus the infantry veterancy. Hasn't done that just yet, from the looks of things. Has unlocked the Stuart, though, so it does look like we're going to see Stuarts this game. And I do believe this is what we saw Dumais go for in the last game that I posted on my channel of him. Went for double Stuart. No, he went for single Stuart. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this is the same build. So, executed in a different game. He went infantry, he went for commando support sections, he went for a single Stuart, and then he went for commando sections. So, if he is going down that same build, I think we're going to see a commando next. And actually, I do think a commando would be pretty good in this particular situation, just because of how much infantry is on the field. There's lots of good spots to ambush your opponent with that unit on this map in particular, whether that's behind hedgerows or just in the plethora of cover that's all over this map. Really like how aggressive our British player is being, getting up in his opponent's territory, not afraid to go deep with those units. We are seeing mines being placed by our British player, actually stealing away this house. Going to hop inside, burn away a few of his opponent's units. Now, this is going to be a super bad retreat path here if this unit goes low. Stuart is on the field. Where's that guy at? Mine being triggered by our British player there. By a British mine being triggered there by our German. Stuart going to chase these units back into their base. And I do expect we're going to see some Panzerschrecks added on in short order. Does have enough for it. Is adding one. Does have enough for a second. Hasn't done that just yet. I really like this from our British player, using this recce package, calling down the forward artillery observer barrage there to keep his opponent in his base. German player trying not to lose his units to the Steward here, but this Steward's this is a dead Steward here. Nice little pickup there. Combination of Panzerfaust and Panzerschrecks working together to take down that unit, and of course that's what our British player gets for being super aggressive there. Did lose his Stewards, so pretty devastating loss, I would say. Adding on a resource cache now is Dumais. This is something else we saw him do. Not afraid to add on those resource caches to get that little bit of extra income. And, you know, I think it worked out for him last game too, and this is a relatively safe point to build it on. I mean, we've seen our German going for it all game long, but still a good place to do that if you are going to do that. I mean, I guess he could have done this point here, but I don't think Dumais is one to be tentative with his resource caches. Excuse me. So, taking stock of the game, I mean, our German player has done a really nice job controlling victory points. He's taken down a tank. He's not lost any units that I've seen. I'm doubting myself here. I don't know if he lost a grenadier or not. That's okay. In any case, I think his army composition is pretty decent against what the British player might be fielding next. British player has a lot of anti-infantry, has a lot of high veterancy units, has researched the veterancy upgrade for his infantry, so going to get that 10% harder to hit, 10% accuracy, etc., etc. And that's really going to help him swing hard into this mid-game. German player building up a bit of fuel here. And we're going to see him call in the Stug assault group here with the Stoßtruppen. That's going to be really nice for dealing with all this infantry his opponent has. That said, British player properly identifying that he's weak to tanks right now, so adding on an AT gun just in time. British player continuing to plant mines all over the map here. Interestingly enough, not going for any weapon upgrades on his infantry squads there, other than the recce package, of course. Stug finding this mine here. Love to see a minesweeper added on by our British player, or by our German player. He does have one, I guess, and they just weren't quite in position to see that mine in time. Should see this mine, though, eventually there. British player recognizing his opponent is strong on the right side, so going to rotate away from that strength and capture some free territory on this left side. Commandos and stealth here are going to find these pioneers here. Pioneers going to finish the capture, though, and then bail out. I love this positioning from our German player, sneaking his Jaegers just on the side of that capture point, so not going to reveal to his opponent what he's doing. Stug finding a second mine here. AT gun in position this time. And this is looking pretty bad for that Stug. Stug going to give the front armor to the AT gun. Might survive one more hit. Yep, bouncing that shell. Really good for him. Should get out of there okay. And with the Stoßtruppen holding down the front line here, I expect that Stug's going to be just fine. Grenadiers eating a grenade. Mills bomb from those Royal Engineers. Recce package continuing to be used to call down artillery barrages. Love to see that. And yeah, amazing what our British player's doing this game. I mean, he's keeping his opponent in his base. But, you know, I think the difference between trying to remember the game specifically, I want to say that it was the game where our German player ended up with, like, just a couple vehicles in the very late game. And I don't think currently our German is not falling into that trap just yet. So, you know, he has lots of, he has the answers he needs, he just needs to get out of his base here. So, plenty of breathing room on victory points though. Oof, a little bit of friendly fire there, but did do significant damage here. Isn't going to be able to do another hit there. Jaeger's finding this resource cache over here, trying to destroy it, but not able to in time. Royal Engineer's going to come in and probably repair that up. Commando's being found by the Stug, but Stug just driving on by. And unfortunately for him, not in a good position to fight these commandos. Rotating now. Pioneers on the scene, gonna get a flamethrower hit on these commandos, but commandos closing that gap. A bit scary. Nice hit by the Stug, though. Commando's gonna have to bail out. AT gun ready for the Stug. And both players just gonna back away. No losses there. Can I just say I love that fences burn in Company of Heroes 3? It's cool. I mean, hedges burn too. And you can actually open up the map a little bit by burning hedges with your units, but I don't know. I just love how destructive, how much, I don't know. I love how every game is destructive. The map is, that is. But this game in particular, I think they did some nice additions there. Again, burning those hedges. Pioneers finding the mine and going to get out of there safely from the looks of things. Stoßtruppen finding these units on this side, and German is pissed about this resource cache, so is going to focus that down now that he knows that it exists. Does look like he's going to get it. Stug again continuing to hold down this side. AT gun, knowing where the Stug is mirroring its movements, of course. Hedges being burned away here, opening up that side of the map a little bit there. And, you know, these flares coming out from these recce I just love this recce package. I can't get over how good it's doing for him. But with this Crusader 2 on the way, British player's going to need to, or German player's going to need to be concerned about that. Now, he does have one of those Shreks. I think we might see him go for a second Shrek. Stoßtruppen not going to be able to finish this capture before the gap is closed there. Crusader 2 on the scene, so British player thinking about chasing there, not going to happen. Another barrage coming down in the middle here. Stug engaging these commandos. Crusader on the flank, though. Shreks are on the scene. Should get a good hit here on the rear armor. Side armor, second upgrade here. So, ready for this Crusader. Crusader is going to get out safely. AT gun mirroring the movements of this Stug. And Commandos taking another great hit from that Stug. This Stug has been really, really good this game, getting some decent hits. Sometimes it feels a little underwhelming, but definitely not this game. And yeah. So, German player has quite a bit of fuel stored up here. Curious what he wants to do with that. I suspect we're going to see him, before I put my foot in my mouth here. Yeah, you know, I think we're going to see him tech up in the near future. I mean, he could go for another Stug. He does have enough AT to deal with what his opponent... Wait, did the Crusader go down? What the heck? Where'd it go? Okay. It did not get destroyed, so I think he called it off the map? Hang on a second, I need to investigate. I'm sorry, guys. I cannot stand this. Stand for this, I should say. I really think he used the withdraw, because we did not see a Crusader go down there. So, interesting choice there. Is that a Matilda? It is. I did it again. I saw the outline and thought it was a Crusader. It is not. It is a Matilda. So, okay, very conscious decision from our British player to shift strategies here. He's recognizing that he wants more anti-infantry, right? And wants a healthier unit that's more resilient to anti-tank fire. So switching in for that Matilda. Very cool choice. Now, we did see an infantry section go down there, which is difficult for our British player to replace. German player does have quite a bit of manpower stored up. Does feel like he's going to go for this Stug assault group, but potentially saving up. Let me switch over here. Matilda going to drive back all these units here. Shrek's missing, fortunately for him. Matilda totally unafraid of what our German can bring to bear here. And with control of 3 victory points, this is looking a little scary for our German player. So what I want to look at really quick while this fight happens here. Yeah, okay, that's what I was going to say. I was thinking that our German player might save up for enough command points for the Panther heavy tank call-in so that he doesn't have to tech up to the tier 4 building. And that's exactly what we saw, and we see a Panther on the field right now. So very cool. Very, very cool. British player actually researching the 17 pounder. So that's also very cool. Something you don't see very often in 1v1s. At least not at a high level. German player pushing out in a big way here. Needs to capture some territory relatively soon. Starting to feel that pressure of those victory points bleeding away. But here comes the Panthers supporting. Thinking about chasing this Matilda. AT gun not there. This is very risky. Although I actually think this could work for our German player. Does look like he's going to find the Matilda. Matilda going to back away through the hedgerows. AT gun set up, but not facing the right direction. Panther thinking better of it there. And yeah, you know, it's a little surprising our German doesn't have this on... Okay, yeah, I was going to say, he had it locked to anti-tank attacks only. And he was doing that because he wanted to focus the Matilda, of course. But now that the Matilda's not in there, switching to infantry mode. And, you know, you might say, well, the Panther's an anti-tank gun, and you're right. But in this game in particular, I think the Panther is much better at anti-infantry than it has been in the past. Now, this is a lot of anti-tank for both players in the area here. AT gun bouncing right off the front of the Panther, though. And that might be a dead Matilda. German player thinking about chasing. Very risky. Is going to get it, though. So that was questionable decision-making by our British player there. Oh, he was baiting for the 17-pounder, but Matilda went down too early with the 17-pounder on the field. That's unfortunate for our British player. I mean, I think that was a little bit of greed there. That's okay. You know, I think a lot of folks, you know, when they go to YouTube to watch games, they're like, I want to see the best in the world, and I want to see them play perfectly, right? And, you know, I think that makes a lot of sense for something like StarCraft 2. Oh, man, this Stug getting huge hits, though. Might go down. Smoke grenade, saving the day. AT gun tried to attack ground there, but didn't manage to find it. Panther going to go hang out with these Pioneers to get repaired up. So finishing that thought, right, you know, I think we as gamers are used to seeing, like, players that are paid to play. Right, I mean, StarCraft 2, League of Legends have huge esports scenes, so it's, you know, we're used to that really high caliber of play, no mistakes, and, you know, with a game like this, where our community's rather small, personally, I am okay with mistakes, especially when it makes the game go longer, because I love watching these players brawl. I love watching them make cool decisions and cool builds and just make fun plays, right? That's the fun of doing this for me. So I'm personally okay with mistakes. And I don't know. This game feels very even because of the mistakes our British players been making. And I don't know. That's fun. So sorry for the rant there. Both players, German sneaking out of his base here. You know, both players been trading back and forth the victory points while I was on my rant, though. Panther fully repaired up and veteran C1. Is that another Matilda? I think it is. Let's play the game. Matilda, it is a Matilda. I'm getting better at it. The Matilda has this, like, little bit like a bloated fuel tank on the back that I'm starting to see, or starting to use to help me figure it out. Jaeger's trying to hold down this point. Commando's on the scene, though. So, this 17-pounder, I really like 17-pounders. I use them all the time. I'm not a British main, but I have been playing a lot of British recently. And, I don't know. 17-pounder, it's very cool to see players micro the 17-pounder at a high level, because... I don't know. It's, you know, you have to tow it, right? You have to do that towing. It's a stationary unit. It's very susceptible to indirect fire or getting flanked. And, you know, watching players move it around at a high level with that little bit of extra added micro, I think is just, it's fun to watch. Stoßtruppen, second Stoßtruppen on the field here. Now that is from the, he has upgraded to his Panzer Command there. So, adding on more elite infantry here in the late game, I think that's actually a good decision. AT gun being driven away by the Stug here. 17-pounder on the scene, though, getting a decent hit on the Panther. Panther getting in along the side of this Matilda, though, and doesn't look like he's going to be able to finish that with a 17-pounder refacing. Panther bailing out. Matilda coming back in, unafraid of the Panther now that he's got his 17-pounder covering his back. And sort of feels like our German player needs indirect fire. Now, I wonder if that's a reality. It could be a reality for him. I don't think he's researched. Let's check. I was about to say, I don't think he's researched support elements. Yeah, he hasn't. So, not going to be able to go up to... I mean, he could, right? He could go for... Yeah, he doesn't even have the building he needs, so he'd have to add on a building. And he would also have to go for support elements in order to be indirect fire, but to be honest with you, it does feel like that's what he needs. A mortar could, in theory, do a similar job. And I guess he does have... Yeah, I don't know. Just thinking about what our German player needs right now, because the British player has a really nice lockdown of this central area with a wide open space to put his 2 AT guns and cover these 2 victory points, right? I mean, a Stoss troop and flank on the side here is looking pretty good, and the tanks are engaging with the anti-tank weapons from our German player. But here comes the zeroing artillery barrage. Should get some decent hits here. Might even connect with that 17-pounder. Not quite. Here it comes now. Come on, get another connection. There we go. Took it down. And the Panther's going to be able to destroy the 17-pounder, so that's a nice little pickup there. So I guess, you know, using your call-ins for indirect fire, great way to destroy weapons that way. AT gun's still on the scene, but Stug on the side here. By the way, this is hilarious seeing this upgrade. There's so much going on, I can't talk about it, but that's such a cool little upgrade from Dumais there. Panther going to take out that unit, though, and that's pretty devastating for our British player. Taking huge losses here. And what a turnaround for our German player. Felt like he's been on the back foot for the last 10 minutes, more even. And there's the GG from Dumais. Wow. What a closeout to that game. I didn't expect the game to end there, but in I mean, he lost everything. So, I should say I guess, and we were on a knife's edge that whole time. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this game as much as I did, and I will see you in the next one.